Okay, so here we go. Today's entree is my delicious skillet meatloaf. Now, some people may have already seen my video on making filet mignon, and they might be asking themselves, well, who is this guy? Is he even a chef? Well, no, I'm not a chef. You know, I'm just a cook. So, who am I? Well, let's say that I am the Prince of Pasta, the Duke of Delicious, the Wizard of Wonton, the Unknown Cook. We've all heard of the Unknown Comic, right? Well, I'm the Unknown Cook. No, you won't see me on the screen. I will not show up in this video, and I'm using a device to disguise my voice. You want to remain anonymous. Now people might say, well, but your name is on your Twitter page. Yeah, it is. But you've heard of a pen name, right? Authors use a pen name, or actors use a stage name. Another way to refer to that is a nom de plume. And I use a nom de plume on all my social media sites that I use, and there aren't that many. So that's how I keep myself anonymous. And why do I do that? Well, I'm a cybersecurity expert, and the world is a dangerous place. So I use a nom de plume to protect myself from the crazies out there. So what's the first thing we're going to do here? Well, the very first thing that you need to do is, before you start preparing food, you wash your hands. That's what I'm doing right now. I also need to wash the dishes because there's a bit of dishes here in the sink, but I'm not going to do that right now because that would take a little while, and the longer this video runs, the more space it uses up and the longer it takes to transfer it to YouTube. So, there are two basic parts to my skillet meatloaf. That's the meatloaf itself and the meatloaf sauce that goes on the outside. So the first thing we're going to do is get the meatloaf sauce created and get that set aside, and then we'll start on the meatloaf itself. One of the most important things you're going to need is a seasoned cast iron skillet. Most of these skillets are about the same size. And this is mine right here. You can see it. It's about, I guess that's about a 12-inch skillet. Now, if you don't have a cast iron skillet at home, good news for you. Unlike when I was young and you had to season the skillet yourself, which could take a bit of time, you can now buy your cast iron skillets pre-seasoned, and all you have to do is maintain them. So that saves you a lot of trouble. Just go out someplace, Walmart, Target, wherever, and pick yourself up a pre-seasoned cast iron skillet. You can probably even get it at the grocery store. Some grocery stores sell them. So, first thing we're going to do is show you the ingredients that we need to use for the meatloaf sauce. You're going to need brown sugar. I prefer C&H light brown sugar. I believe that's what that is, though I think it came out of a box. But it doesn't matter. I mean, you can use any light brown sugar you want. Doesn't make a difference who made it. I just prefer C&H. You're going to need some mustard. And this is what I use. French's Classic Yellow Mustard. But you can use any yellow mustard that you want. Doesn't make a difference. You're going to need ketchup. Now, I strongly recommend using Brooks Rich and Tangy ketchup. This is what I use. It works well. But unless you're in the Midwest, you're not going to be able to get it. Unless, of course, you order it online. That's the only way you'll be able to get it, because you're not going to find it in any grocery store on the East Coast or on the West Coast. It's only available in the Midwest. If you can't get Brooks Rich and Tangy. I would say look for a Hunt's or a Heinz that has, you know, kind of a specialty ketchup, maybe, if they have one, something that has something added to give it a little extra kick. I don't know if they make anything like that. If all you can get is ordinary ketchup, just get yourself a bottle of Heinz ketchup. It'll do, I guess. You're going to need a can. A can of condensed tomato soup. Now, I recommend Campbell's, but when I went last night to go and buy myself a can of Campbell's so I could make this, my car broke down. Here it is, it's 11 o'clock, well, it's about 10:50 in the evening, and I go to leave and the car breaks down. And I have to call a tow truck and get the car towed to the repair shop, get it dropped off. Then I gotta get a hold of a taxi. Never was able to even get a taxi. I waited an hour and a half, no taxi ever came. Then I had to try and spend some time getting access to Uber, and then finally place an order on Uber. By the time I got home, it was 2 in the morning. By the time I got to bed, it was 3, and I still didn't have my can of condensed tomato soup. So this morning I walked over to Walgreens to get 2 ingredients I felt I might need. Well, I knew I needed the tomato soup, but I thought I might need some brown sugar because I might not have enough. And they had the brown sugar, and they carried the Campbell's tomato soup, but they were all out. So then I spent 15 minutes walking over to Aldi's, and that's where I got this. Aldi's brand chef's covered tomato condensed soup. I wouldn't recommend using it, but I guess if you have an Aldi you can always get it, but I recommend just buy Campbell's condensed tomato soup. All you need is a can. That's good enough. You're going to need Lee & Perrins Worcestershire sauce. They make, you know, there are other brands of Worcestershire sauce, but I recommend Lee & Perrins. You're going to need Cholula chili garlic hot sauce, and you're going to need some KC Masterpiece barbecue sauce. Now this is just for the meatloaf sauce. There are other ingredients that are required for the meatloaf itself. So we are going to make the sauce right now. That's the best I can do. Maybe if I set it here. Yeah, there we go. And I'm just using an ordinary food storage container for making this stuff. So first thing we do, I gotta get my measuring spoons. I need the 2 tablespoons. And I need the 1 tablespoon of vanilla. 1 tablespoon. And I need a teaspoon. Teaspoon. I don't know where my 1/4 teaspoon is at, but I can just fill the 1/2 teaspoon half full. Okay, now, Jesus, the roll of paper towels is gone. Gonna need paper towels to set stuff on. What kind of paper towels do I use? Bounty plain, non-printed. Because when I make baked potatoes, make them in the microwave, after I wash them real good, I wrap them up in a double sheet like this of paper towel, soak them good with water, stick them in the microwave and cook them. Thing is, if I'm going to do that, I don't want paper towels that have ink on them. So I don't buy the printed paper towels, I buy plain white. Try and make sure I stay off camera. Alright. So we're going to need 4 tablespoons of brown sugar. So I'll take the 2 tablespoons and just fill it twice. Yes, I can count. probably some professional chefs out there saying, Jesus, you're putting brown sugar in your meatloaf? Oh my God. Here we go, my best Billy Crystal imitation. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, well, that's why I'm not a professional chef. Because unlike you having gone to cooking school, I'm not bound by the rules and restrictions that you learned when you went to cooking school. I can do things any way I damn well please. And if they turn out, great. And if they don't, well, learning experience. Okay, so that's 4 tablespoons of the brown sugar. Now we're going to need 4 tablespoons of the mustard. I love doing celebrity imitations. But only if I'm doing it in the context of something else that I'm doing. And it isn't meant maliciously. It's just all in fun teasing. Like, if all of a sudden I feel myself needing to go to the bathroom, I might tell you, I'll be back. Alright, so 2 more tablespoons of mustard. You know, I'm betting Arnold wishes he never made those Terminator movies. Even though they were good. He was good in them. He probably hears that line over and over and over again. It's got to drive you up the wall after a while. So now I'll rinse out this 2 tablespoons. So we may need it again. Rinse it out. Dry it off. It doesn't matter if you see a little bit of my body as long as you can't see my face. Can't imagine anybody would be able to recognize me by my torso and legs. Alright, so now we're done with the mustard for now. Actually, we may be done with it permanently. Actually, I think we are. Okay, now, yeah, when I made the filet mignon, I did that straight from memory. But most of my recipes can be a little bit complicated, so I record them in my own little custom-made home cookbook, so that when I want to make something again, if I can't remember how I did it the last time, I've already got it recorded in a file, so I can just follow my own directions of what I did the last time. Makes things easier. Okay, so got that. Now we need a 1/3 cup of the Brooks Rich and Tangy. So I'll need my measuring cups too. Unfortunately, I don't know where they're all at. That one's 1/4. There's the rest of them. Okay, there's a 1/3 cup. So I've got a 1/4 cup and a 1/3 cup. And I've got a big 2 cup. I can use that one. I'll just have to keep washing it out. Okay, so 1/3 cup of ketchup. Now, let's shake this up first. This stuff is really good. I wouldn't use any other ketchup but Brooks Rich and Tangy. Or maybe it's no different than the other ketchups. Maybe it's just all in my head. But to me, it definitely tastes better. Jesus. Luckily I got another full bottle, because this one has about had it. Need to try and squeegee as much of that out of there as I can. Get a frosting spatula. I know I got one here someplace. Where is it? There it is. Should rinse that off. Don't know if you can see that. Better put it over here. Okay, so I've got the brown sugar, the mustard, the ketchup. Okay, I'll mix these. So, now we need half a can of the condensed tomato soup. A little more. That's about half a can. That's close enough. Rinse off the outside of this can. Okay. Now, we need 1 tablespoon of Korean Paris. Always put the caps on immediately, because you never know when you're going to accidentally bump the bottle and knock it over. Okay. And the Cholula, 1 tablespoon of that. Problem is I'm almost out of this. I don't have another bottle here. I got one in my desk drawer at work, but I don't have any more here. Didn't know I was this low. I might end up having to substitute the chili garlic for Cholula chipotle. And I don't know what kind of impact it's going to have. Okay, so there's 1 tablespoon of that. And finally, 1 tablespoon of the Casey Masterpiece. This is a brand new bottle. I had one in the refrigerator, but don't know what happened to it. I didn't think I used it all. So, gotta open up a new bottle. Don't use a lot of barbecue sauce. Don't have much need for it. That's why I thought I still had some in the refrigerator. Came very close to not being able to make this today because of the car breaking down. Now I gotta worry about how much it's gonna cost to get it fixed. So that's all the ingredients for the sauce. Now I'll just mix it up.
Recipe of this, but I don't have enough ingredients to be able to do it. However, it looks like I've got enough here. Probably. Just have to be somewhat sparing when I put it on. Something I don't really like to do. I like kind of a thick coating of this on the meat. Because I like to be able to test it. This is how it looks when it's all good and stirred up. You can see that. So now I'll sit this. You could just set it off to the side, but I'm going to sit it in the refrigerator while I work on the meatloaf. Okay, so the next step is working on the meatloaf. Let's see. We won't need the ketchup anymore. We won't need the mustard anymore. Oh, there it is. I see it now. I missed it the first time. There it is. And that's really the one I meant to use. So we'll use it for the meatloaf. That's Casey Masterpiece Hickory Brown Sugar. That's the one that I meant to use. Original will work just as well, but this is the one that I prefer. Masterpiece, Casey Masterpiece Kettle Cooked Hickory Brown Sugar. That's the one I should have been using. For some reason I didn't see it in the refrigerator. Okay, so now I'm going to need a big bowl. I recommend using a steel bowl. Should be a large one. Rinse it. You hear the water running, I'm rinsing it out. Yeah, it was clean before it went into the cabinet, but there's dust in the air. So you don't use it for a long time, it sits there. Dust is going to get on it. And you don't want that dust in your food. So even when you know something's clean, automatically assume it's got dust on it. Give it a quick rinse, take a paper towel, dry it out, because your recipe doesn't call for water, or at least this one doesn't. And then you're good to go. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is put in the ground beef. I'm using a 3-pound roll of 85/15 ground beef that I picked up at the local grocery store. Right now, what you can't see is I'm slicing the packaging open, but I'll show it to you. What I do is I slice it down the middle here with this knife. This knife works real well. And I simply cut it like that, cut it like that, cut it like that. Oops. I think I might have gotten my face on the camera and I don't want that. Cut it like that. Alright, so it's basically like I've got a little door here. And into the bowl you go. Comes out real easy. Okay, so I hate this part. I hate getting my hands full of the ground beef.
Alright, now we're going to need a couple eggs. 2 grade A large eggs. One, two. I wish I had a larger refrigerator. Okay. Now I need to scramble those up. Oh, no, he didn't open it with one hand. I don't have to open it with one hand. All I have to do is open it and not get any shell in there. Never believe for an instant that if you start cooking and you actually become fairly decent at it, because you don't do the things the same way that a chef does it, that doesn't mean shit. So don't worry about it. You don't need to crack an egg open and get it open and get the egg into the bowl using one hand. Oh, screw that. No, I'm not using a wire whisk. When I was a kid, we didn't have wire whisks. We used a fork to scramble the egg. Works every bit as well as far as I'm concerned. And that needs to go in, but before we do that, I'm going to get some gloves. Once I get these gloves on, I'll rinse my hands. That way I know the outside of the gloves are clean. Now, one thing about wearing gloves when you're cooking. A lot of people are allergic to latex. There are basically 2 types of gloves that you can buy. There are latex gloves and there are vinyl gloves. A lot of people are allergic to latex. But whether they are or aren't, bear in mind that latex has a tendency to stick to certain foods, certain food particles. And so unless you want latex in your food, which really is not desirable, it probably won't hurt anything, but it probably won't affect the taste, but you never know. So unless you want latex particles in your food, I recommend you don't use latex gloves. And especially if someone in your family is allergic to latex, you definitely don't want to have latex gloves anywhere in the house, especially in the kitchen. So I recommend using vinyl. That's a better choice. Alright, now, put this, shoot. Really, I don't know if I can move this any closer. Really don't want to appear on camera. Alright, so I'll smash this all up. Maybe what I should do is what the Unknown Comic did. Wear a paper bag over my head with eye holes and a mouth hole cut out. Alright, so get
worry about getting all of it, but I try and get as much of it as I can. Sink, fill it with water so the egg doesn't dry and make the bowl easier to clean later. And then the next thing we put in is garlic powder. Now, when it comes to spices and herbs, everybody has their own preference. Me, I try to only use spices and herbs of the Spice Islands brand. That's the brand I like. Whether or not it's better or worse than some other brand, I don't really care. I mean, it's what I like. So I try to use Spice Island spices for everything. But unfortunately, I'm all out of Spice Island's garlic powder. And the garlic powder is what we're putting in next. So I'll be using McCormick. So we need, let's see, open this up. This is what I'm using, but like I said, I normally use Spice Islands. We need 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. I'll probably make it a heaping tablespoon. Yeah, I can hear the cooks now. Oh no! He's using too much garlic powder. Yeah. I'd say something, but that would not be appropriate on this video. But it rhymes with slow and ends with me. Alright, so next step is 1 7/8 milk. I hope this milk is still good. I haven't used it in a while. I keep the refrigerator really cold, almost so that stuff turns to ice, so that the stuff will last longer. Yep, still good. Generally, the smell test will tell you that there's absolutely no trace whatsoever of anything smelling bad. You know it's good. If it's a little suspicious, then you gotta do a taste test. And if you're still not sure, then you just throw it away. Get yourself another container of milk. So we need 1 7/8 cups of milk. And the brand that I prefer is Land O'Lakes. Now it can either be whole milk, and this is important, either whole milk or 2%. Do not use 1% or fat-free. I don't care if you're on a health kick. You want to ruin this, then use those. Otherwise, use either whole milk or 2%. Or just don't make this recipe. And after all, remember, ketchup does have sugar in it. So that's rinsed out. Okay, next ingredient is 2 tablespoons of Liam Parent's Worcestershire sauce. And then we're done with the Liam Parent's. So, 2 tablespoons of Liam Parent's. Uh-oh, not good. There we go. We've got enough. Put the cap back on. And we're done with this. Come on. Oh, Jesus. Put it on back over here where I'm out of camera range. There we go. Okay, the Liam Parent's, 2 tablespoons of Cholula. Jesus, I'm not sure I'm going to get 2 tablespoons out of that.
If I do, it'll be just. Just ran out, I think. Just ran out. Got just exactly 2 tablespoons out of that. That was lucky. I don't have to worry about the lid for that one. It's going in the trash. It's empty. I love thinking out loud, so doing this video was well worth it. I'd probably be saying this stuff anyway. Thinking out loud helps me concentrate. Alright, so now comes 2 tablespoons of KC Masterpiece. Now at least I can use this in the meatloaf. I didn't get to use it with the meatloaf sauce. Probably going to be a heaping 2 tablespoons. That's alright. Won't hurt anything. I'll squeegee this out. Okay. Rinse that. See how big this video file is. I hope the camera's got enough space on it for it. Okay, so next step is the dried breadcrumbs. Now, I prefer to use Progresso garlic and herb breadcrumbs, but I'm all out of it, and I could not find any in the store, so I'm using Progresso Italian. It's a decent substitute. We need 2 cups of that, so I'll get the big measuring cup. Already used it for the milk, so I rinsed it out. I gotta dry it off. Otherwise, I'll have breadcrumbs stuck to the inside of the damn thing. Just empty 1 container of breadcrumbs. Luckily, I've got 2 more. Alright. Come on. A little trouble getting the lid off, but put these gloves on. Okay, so 2 cups. Progresso Italian. You could try another brand of breadcrumb I use. This World Classic brand Panko breadcrumbs. That's Panko. I don't think I've tried those with this recipe, but you know, experimentation is how you find out if things are going to taste good or not. Still a little low here. That should be close to 2 cups right there. So we'll put that in there. And then we need 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Something you might try here is instead of black pepper, try using white pepper. I haven't tried it, but white pepper has a different flavor. It might actually work well. That's 1 teaspoon of black pepper. And then we need 3/4 teaspoon of salt. How am I going to do that? We'll just make it 1 teaspoon. I mean, I can slightly underfill the 1 teaspoon. So that's a 1 teaspoon. And it's slightly underfilled, not much, but slightly. I could pour a little bit out, but I don't think it's going to hurt anything. If you don't get measurements completely exact, don't worry about it. I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay. Now, we need 1 cup of shredded cheese. Oh, here's probably another place where people never go, oh no, oh no. You don't put shredded cheese in meatloaf. No, no. Alright. Where's my 1 cup? I need a 1 cup here. Yes, not. What do I have? I got a 3rd cup. No problem. You do the 3rd cup 3 times. And the cheese I'm using for this is Sargento off the block sharp cheddar cheese. You can use any brand, but it needs to be sharp cheddar or extra sharp cheddar. And I prefer Sargento brand, and they don't have a shredded extra sharp, so I'm using shredded sharp. If they had a shredded extra sharp, I'd be using that. That's almost everything that was in the bag. I'll just put the rest of it in. That's close enough. Then, as I used to say when I was in the service, and not just me, everybody, good enough for government work. Well, that wouldn't be too... People wouldn't feel too good about it these days. People saying good enough for government work. Doesn't give you a lot of confidence in the government, does it? Of course, with Donald Trump running the government, Jesus, nothing would give me confidence in the government. Alright, so we got that in there. Now there's 1 more ingredient that needs to go in. I'll have to pour off the water. We're going to put in a single 3.8 ounce can. Well, actually, the recipe says 2.25 ounce can. Do I really want to put that little of these olives in there? I mean, that's a lot of meat. No, I'm gonna go against what I did the last time. Hopefully it'll still turn out good. And I'm gonna go with 3.8 ounce can instead of a 2.25 ounce can. And these are sliced black olives. And for black olives, I always use Lindsay. I like theirs. They have a superior taste, I think. Or it could just all be in my head. waste anything. Okay. Now you can also use regular olives. Well, I shouldn't say regular, I will say green. God, I shouldn't be this far over. But my head's turning the other way, so no one can see my face. If you use green, I strongly recommend using these. Reese manzanilla olives stuffed with minced anchovy. And let me tell you that the anchovy definitely gives the meatloaf a little bit of a kick to its flavor. So I really should put some of those in, but I'm not going to, not this time. Oh shoot, what did I do with the lid for this thing? Take the lid off the empty one. Okay, so now we have all the ingredients in. Now we just mix it up. Keep my face turned away from the camera. Just dig in there and mix it up. You could use a spoon, but believe me, it's easier using your hands, which is why I'm wearing gloves. Oh man, that smells good. Jesus. I can't wait to eat this. And because we're using 3 pounds of meat, we're going to get ourselves a nice big meatloaf that if it's just you and you're not married, don't have any kids, don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, don't have any guests coming over, this will give you enough meatloaf to last you several days as far as leftovers are concerned. And in some ways this stuff is even better as leftovers than it is brand new fresh out of the oven. But it's good then too. This stuff tastes good. I love it. Get it good and mixed. Make sure that there's no ingredients piled up in a pile. Okay, that's pretty good right there. Get as much off my hands as I can. Okay, now rinse my hands off. Or I should say rinse the gloves off. And something else you need to remember is when you get done making this, because if you didn't use gloves, once you get done messing around in the meat and you get the meat into the skillet and you get it in the oven, get it going, wash your hands. Okay, you wash your hands before you start cooking, you wash your hands after. Because ground beef can have a variety of things in it, including E. coli, and you want to make sure that you not only cook the meat thoroughly, but after you're done messing with the raw meat, you get your hands washed really good with a good antibacterial soap. I'm using gloves, but even though I am, when we're done with this and I take the gloves off, I will still wash my hands. And next thing I need to do is get the oven turned on. We're going to have to cook this. I think it's at 350. Let me double check. Yeah, 350 degrees. And my oven sucks, so it's off by 50, so that means I'll set the oven to bake at 400 degrees. And I'll leave the grill rack
gonna leave the rack, the oven rack where it is, I think. Maybe not. Let's check this. Move it down one notch. Yeah, I'll move it down one notch. So let me get the yardstick. Okay, so I've got the rack in the oven at 10 inches below the upper, but we're not going to be using the upper. We're going to be using the baking element, which is at the bottom, and it's 6 inches above the baking element. So that's where you want to have your rack inside the oven, approximately 6 inches above the baking element. Alright, next step. Now, I'll rinse this out. This has been sitting in the oven for a while. And turn the oven on and set it to 400. Like I said, my oven is 50 degrees off. Left in there. And now one of the last ingredients for this recipe, one of the last, there's actually 2 ingredients left. Okay, so here's the cast iron skillet. I'm going to move this out of the way, set it on the other counter because it's ready to go in. Take that. Showing a little too much skin there. Should have left my belt on. Oh boy, both of these cans are almost empty. I got a full can, but I don't really want to open it up yet. Okay, this is Pam cooking spray, and I use the grilling version because it's high temp. Now that really doesn't make a difference for what we're doing here, but I don't believe in getting different kinds of Pam grilling spray. I just used the one, and I use. And you can see what I'm doing here. Ah, shoot. I'm trying to get this as well coated on the sides and on the bottom as I can, because we don't want the meat sticking to the pan. Now you can see how that looks. You see how white that is. If you let this sit for a little while, it'll turn clear. But now we've got a proper amount of Pam in there. And it'll keep the meat from sticking to the pan. And that's very, very important with this recipe. Alright, so now we'll put this in here. Flatten it into place. Spread it out so it fills all the way down in there. Comes all the way out to the sides. We don't want any pockets of air trapped down in these corners here. We want to get the meat pressed right down in there nice and firm. I think it's probably good now. Bowl rinsed out. I like to keep the kitchen clean, or as clean as I can. So that's ready to go into the oven now. What we'll do before we put it in the oven is we'll take the sauce now and we'll brush it over the bottom of the meatloaf here. And then let me explain how this is going to work. What we're going to do is brush the meatloaf sauce on there. We'll stick it in the oven and we'll cook it for, let's see, if I remember right, we cook it for 45 minutes. And then what we'll do is we'll take it out of the oven and we will pour off the grease, and then we flip the meatloaf over inside the pan. And that's a little tricky. You're going to wonder, how in the hell are you going to get that flipped over? I'll show you. There's a trick to it that makes it pretty easy. But we'll flip it over and we'll put it back into the pan, and then we'll cover the outside of the meat, this time on right now this is the bottom, but once we flip it over, it'll be the top. We'll brush that side with the sauce, put it back in the oven, cook it another 45, well, not 45 minutes. We'll cook it 40 minutes, about 40 minutes. And then we'll take the meatloaf out of the oven. We'll put the last ingredient into place. We'll stick it back in the oven for about another 5 minutes, and then it's done. Okay, so now I'll get the sauce. I'll just set that there. Get a pastry brush. And I don't like the ones that are plastic. I use one of these natural brushes. I could just pour a big glob in there and then spread it around, but nothing wrong with doing it that way, but I like doing it this way. If you're trying to save time, yeah, you can just pour a big glob right here in the center and then spread it around.